Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jason Jenkins. I'm doing an update here into the close of the week and then kind of what to look for over the weekend as crypto's trading, even though I kind of have futures up right now. Let's just get into it. So last update I did, we talked a little bit about some of the timing around the 8.6 on the monthly, the weekly, the daily. I won't get into those longer term cycles, but I do want to highlight, we're kind of closing out the week here. Finished an 8 count yesterday. As far as the futures, it's the same cycle on the coin cash chart. But I think now we'll see what this next cycle brings us. I still think there's a good chance we need to retest this low. So that was from the 19th, down around 30,000. And I think, the crypto market, they like to push it around over the weekend. So we'll see. I think if we do test 30,000, it'll be pretty pivotal because I want to see where the turning point is on that 8.6 count, whether or not we can hold 30 or not. If we don't hold it, then there is that move likely all the way back to pi, which is coming in around 24,000. I mean, in the whole number at 25,000 would probably be pretty significant. Some of the less sophisticated like media networks will just pick up on 25,000, but anyway, let's trade 30 first. If you look at the intermediate term, you can draw down the descending downward trend line right here. That's pretty accurate, very technical trading going on. So I'm not surprised that you've had basically two really good 4-hour cycles right in here. So boom, boom, boom. Let's see if this lower high then puts us back towards this first support down here. It's like 34,000 and then major at 30. On the up, if you buy, I'm not in a hurry to add. I mean, I like the Ethereum a little bit better, that we took some here in front of 3,000. The chart looks almost exactly the same on the hourly. So we took out this low, move lower, small bounce on the near term. Again, I think we probably need to test some of these major lows from a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not in a hurry to buy. If you did, if you're a little bit long and you sold in front of 40,000, maybe you buy some back. I mean, those were nice sales. Like I said, we were probably trading intermediate term of 30 to 40,000, kind of wider range. So lower highs. I talked about the lower highs on the intermediate term, kind of following the 8 was up around 40, and that's exactly where we struggled. So still a $30,000 to $40,000 kind of wider intermediate term risk range. And then from a timing perspective, I still think June is the earliest that maybe we make a low as far as the weekly and monthly turning points. But just watch this for support, and then again the 30 level. I wanted to get into some alts. We'll start with Binance. We had good buys in our group, on our team. We were buying down in front of the 200 day. If you bought well, you got a chance to sell in front of 400. Very similar chart to BTC. And like longer term, I mean, this is the problem that the overall market's going to have, and especially when you're looking at the altcoins, this formation is very much the same, where we've had this big, what we call a real money candle. You just had a lot of bigger blocks selling. As soon as we took out these pivot low and BTC went through its pivot low, it's just a lot of selling. So you can see, just from a teaching perspective, when you create that type of bar, not to mention that this was prior support that broke, was going to be a resistance right here. And that's exactly where the market, so you sell off, you come back, you bounce about halfway up that candle, and then the market failed. So that's going to be the main spot on the up now. Call it 440 that Binance needs to get above to really do anything longer term. In the meantime, you're probably just in this chop, which I think the overall market's going to be in. Like you get a lower high here, the lower lows are, the lows are down in this area. I'd be a better buyer down here. And then again, like if you buy well, I didn't take any off up here. I probably should have. But it's just like BTC's in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. You could put Binance in a 2.25, 240 to 400 range, which is a lot of movement. So I like the volatility there. We'll continue to trade this one around. Pi line's down at 160. And again, you don't need to worry about that unless we take out. Focus on the 200 and the lowest from a couple weeks ago before we start talking about lower levels. All right, so what's next? We got Enjin. Little different chart, a little bit different technical structure on this one. Again, you had the support here from April, bounced to a lower high, that broke just like the market, and then you got the deeper pullback. And here, great example of why I use the Pi line down here. He held it exactly 80 cents, and then you got the bounce to the band. So when you start to change the technical structure, like this was a pivot low that broke, but this was the main one that was kind of defining this uptrend. You take that out, the bands roll over. You should look for lower highs when the market moves into that intermediate term bearish posture. So 80 cents, good buys. If you took some off at 2, nice whole number. It makes sense. That's where the bands were and you failed. So from here, whether or not you sold in front of 2 or 2, place to be a buyer is back in front of the buck down in this area. It kind of creates an inverse head and shoulders type of pattern. So this would be the area where you look for the market to bounce. You know, these daily cycles too also, guys, is coming back, even if you look at futures. So this daily cycle can roll over into next week, which is favoring that idea that we need to retest these lows. And it's the same on the alt charts. All right. I don't have it really stretched out or blown up, but this daily cycle can roll back over. Well, I'm kind of anticipating a little bit more weakness. Now, whether that, I don't know how, there's not a lot of people that know how to play that on the short side. So maybe you stay in cash. If you could short the futures, that would have been a spot to do it earlier in the week as far as hedging goes. But I know most of the market's just net long. So I'm just going to be patient into the weekend. Polkadot, again, here's your massive real money candle. All the prior support broke. I mean, you broke that acted as resistance at 30. For whatever reason, I don't have a Pi line on here. I'd have to look at why that's not showing up. I guess maybe there's not enough data. I think I was using Binance quotes. Anyway, you could be buyer back at 15. It's very similar thinking. Market's going to struggle in front of the 30 level. The bands will come down in that same spot. So maybe you trade it around. If you get in the mid-teens, you'd be a buyer. If you get in the mid-20s, 20 handles, 20 handle, I'd be a seller. And then lastly, Matic, guys, this is one of the more bullish charts as far as alts. You can see that you have not breaking down what we call the TMS or technical structure. You're still making higher lows. So this is the daily chart. All the charts I had up were daily charts, but this is still holding. So you got the bands here, did a nice job. Market is much, this chart is just much more bullish. The price action, you just continue to make higher lows. So you could be more aggressive being long here. You just have the daily cycle again is going to probably oscillate, ebb and flow back down. So I look to be a buyer kind of on a scale. Sometimes I draw that as a triangle just to say I get a little bit heavier as you get deeper. But I like being core long. On the upside, if you get back to 240, you take some. You get back to the highs, you take some off. And then you make new highs, you take some off. So that's 240, 260. And then I'd be booking a little bit of gains on new highs and just trailing a core long position. Anyway, guys, have a great weekend. Have a great long Memorial weekend. Enjoy it. And we'll probably do some work and see where price kind of settles in this weekend, and I'll probably have some videos for it. So hope that helps. Have a good one.